How's it going, folks? Top of the third hour. This is Batman Wars. Today we're talking about the Batman PSYOP and the war on your mind. There is a PSYOP going on right now by the Chi-Coms and the Russian KGB to get you to like the new Batman movie. I assure you, folks, the new Batman movie is not as great as you think it is. Certainly not a masterpiece. I'm trying to shake you awake. Anyway, just kidding. We're talking about a few things tonight. Thought I would do a little stream. Yeah, I put cops on in the background because I wasn't sure what else to put. And every time I put my little background, it ends up going idle, and then it turns into that stupid screensaver. So there's a guy getting arrested. That's interesting. I think he has some crack in his pocket. Anyway, I wanted to discuss a couple of things tonight. I wanted to do a little follow-up to the Batman live that I did last week. Got a lot of good comments on that live. It was a stupid quick live stream, super unprepared for it, and I didn't expect much, but it ended up doing pretty well. Mostly in terms of the engagement in the comments section. I've read a lot of the comments and some hot takes in there. Some people that agree, some people that disagree. You know, the usual stuff. I'll start off by saying, actually, for that live, 80% of my views for that live came from the search results. By the way, there might be some music playing. You know, maybe I shouldn't have cops on in the background because I'll probably get like blocked or something in the middle of the stream, which will kind of be annoying. Wasn't the best thought out plan there. So in the meantime, I'll just have that screen until it goes idle, and then you get the cool little Roku screensaver. So we'll wait for that to come. Yeah, anyway, I have a little bit of music. Hope it's not too loud. Just for a little bit of a vibe, a little bit of a chill vibe, right? Not a non-confrontational vibe. Hey, man, we're not trying to confront you people that really liked the new Batman movie. I'm just here to tell you, to offer you another perspective that maybe it was not as great as your mind is telling you that it was. Maybe you see all the right things, all the right pieces are there, right? Like, the music was pretty good, you know, the cinematography, the color palettes, you know, the themes and you know, the way that the characters spoke and the dialogue, right? Maybe all that was good, and it made this equation in your brain that went, oh, this equals good movie. And I personally disagree. As I was saying before, yeah, I'll start off by saying that about 80% of the views that I got on my live that I did about, you know, in my live, you know, I don't really mince the words. I titled it "The Batman Was Bad." And so I was thinking, when I looked at my analytics for that video, 80% of the views for that video, it has like over 1,000 views, came from search results, which means that a shit ton of people got out of the theater disappointed, right? Frankly, disappointed. And their first thought was, I'm pissed. I feel let down. My expectations are let down. I need to share this. I need to see if anybody else in the world understands or hears what I'm thinking, because I feel disappointed. And if you look at a lot of the videos, a lot of the reliable YouTube commentators, right, in terms of this Batman movie, I feel like you'll be let down. You're gonna feel gaslit. I mean, you're seeing people throw around words like masterpiece. Like, this is, I wouldn't say masterpiece. Like, you can say it's a good movie. You can say it's a damn good Batman movie, but are we using words like masterpiece for this movie? That one threw me off, which is why I made that little thumbnail. It was a community post, rather, and I then posted it to Twitter. I was going to get into that. I might as well talk about that now. Basically, I you know, caused a little bit of a ruckus. I was a little bit of a rabble rouser earlier, and I made this little, let's just go. Hold on, I'll pull my Twitter up here. Let me see. I got to share my screen really quick. Yeah, we'll do that one. And I just have to, there we go. Yeah, that's about the way I wanted it. Oh my God, I'm yawning, dude. I'm tired. I'm doing a late night stream again. Just wanted to get this out. Anyway, oh man, I have notifications up the ass because Yeah, I pissed a lot of people off with this one, basically. So let me just find it. Okay, so basically, I made this little joke here where I took. So all right, to give some context to this, right? I after my little hot take last week about Batman being not so great, YouTube being the ever so advancing AI probably realized that I had Batman on my mind and started fucking feeding me a barrage of Batman related videos, and of course you get Batman video essays. And I just saw one after another from all these different channels, but one or two that I follow, by the way, that I'm actively subscribed to, and then other ones that I was not. And they were all saying words like masterpiece. So I was like kind of confused. I was like, masterpiece. I was like, I don't know about that. And then so I made this fun little thumbnail. I put all of them together. And I was like, what's the best way I can tweet this out? What'll have the biggest impact, right? Totally a shit post, by the way, at the end of the day, because I don't give a fuck, frankly. If you love it, that's fine. And I'm not gonna fight you for that opinion. I could care less. At the end of the day, it's trivial things, right? We like to squabble over them because it's fun, because it's dramatic and it adds some kind of entertainment value. But at the end of the day, it's not that serious. And so what did I think of? The first thing that came to mind was that quote that you see thrown around a lot, which is something like, and by the way, I don't even think this is verified that like Hitler said this, but I tweeted it and I said, if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. And then I put, maybe Hitler or Goebbels or something, right? Because I think when you actually do some research, you realize that I don't think that quote was ever confirmed to be said by Hitler or Goebbels. I don't know exactly the history there, but from what I've seen, it's been debunked. Anyway, the point is that that was a little joke that I made because I'm seeing all these videos calling Batman a masterpiece, right? It's like a psyop. So it's like the big lie. The big lie is that the Batman is the best fucking movie that you've ever seen. The Batman by Matt Reeves, and so. And again, my Twitter, by the way, I mean, my Twitter is small. All right. It's 10 followers. I barely ever used it up until maybe like 2 to 3 weeks ago. I realized that maybe I should be a little more active on it. So I started using it more. And so I started to like shit post a little bit every now and then. And in this particular instance, I thought that I would tag like all the people that were in those that made those videos. And so you have here High Top Films, Cortex Videos, Patrick Tommaso, and FilmSpeak. I love, by the way, High Top Films. I think he's a good channel. And not only I like him because not only is he a commentator and a video essayist, and people might disagree with some of his takes. That's all right. Everybody on YouTube has a take that someone disagrees with, right? I hate like having to put that disclaimer, but he actually does shit. Like he made this pretty sweet Jason Todd trailer like a few weeks back that I thought was sick. It was just I think it's him playing Jason Todd, and he gets the shit beaten out of him by cops for like, I don't know, like 5 minutes straight. It was pretty raw, right? Pretty good filmmaking, I thought, and definitely left me wanting more. So I have respect for him, but I did tag him just because dude, this is the funny thing. This is a little secret I'll let some of you guys in on. If you take a big YouTuber or a relatively big YouTuber, okay, mind you, High Top Films, right? We're talking, how many subscribers does he have, dude? Let's see, because I have him pulled up here. 361,000 subscribers, dude. Paid me the time, 2,000 subscriber Rob. Paid me the time of day. And on Twitter, even less, like 10 followers. He paid me the time of day, and he tweeted at me. He said, let's click on it. He replied, he said, ... what? I was laughing because, and again, I like him, dude. I think his name's Alex from High Top. Yeah, High Top Alex. I was laughing because, when you see his profile picture and stuff, kind of the way that he looks a little bit like out of it, a little bit like maybe like smoked a little bit. So when he said the ... what, I was looking at his face and I laughed a little bit because I just pictured him being like, what? like he doesn't know what's happening. Like he's not aware of like what's going on. Come on, Alex. And anyway, I was laughing. So I got ratioed, right? And people obviously were like, and that's the thing that happens, right? If you're like a smaller Twitter account and you like attack or say anything remotely edgy about a bigger, Twitter account and they happen to clap back, like you're always going to get ratioed. There's no way around it. You can have the best, most based fucking take ever. Just because it's a numbers game, you're always going to get ratioed. So yeah, and I don't really care. In fact, I was kind of smiling. I told Gwen, I was like, Gwen, I got like this big fucking account to just like answer me, And so anyway, there's the post that I made. I got some likes. I got a few people that agreed with my take, which is that this is some kind of psyop by the fucking Chai comms to get us to like the Batman, which is a mediocre film. And then I saw and this guy got really pissed. Cortex Videos. I guess he's not as big as Alex from High Top, so I think he was a little more upset. He was like, "It's called an opinion. We all have one. No one is forcing anyone to believe anything." LOL. I just put a little LOL. Like I get it. I'm in on the joke too. LOL. And then FilmSpeak, bro, all of them answered. All the people that I tagged. I was like, this is like so out of left field. Again, this was a shit post with such little thought put behind it. I just wanted to like make the thumbnail because I saw all these thumbnails on my YouTube feed at the same time, like all these video essays calling Batman a masterpiece. I was like, I'm going to take them all, put them together, right? Compile them. And I'm going to tweet it out and be like, my first initial thought was I was going to say something like, what is this genre of videos called or something, but then I was like, no, I was like, I'm going to put like a little big lie angle to it. And that's what I was getting at before, by the way. If you, I noticed this, and you can totally see it here. So I guess if you go on Twitter and you like take one of these big YouTubers and you say something like Hitler, right? You drop that H bomb, they go crazy, like, and they have to reply because they're like, oh no. Now in the SEO, in the search engine optimization, my name has now just been tagged and associated with the H-man, and H-man bad, and now I need to address this. And so for me, there wasn't that much thought behind it. It was really more or less like just like I said, a funny way to tweet it out without like, because I didn't want to just tweet it out like with nothing. Like I didn't want to tweet it out naked. I wanted to put some kind of, something there, right? So I was like, that's kind of funny. You know what? Like my opinion is that I didn't think it was a great movie. All these opinions say that it's a masterpiece. So I'm just going to tweet it out and say, you say something over and over again, and then it becomes the truth, right? And it was just funny because I guess it pissed them off. So not only did one of them respond, right, but all of them responded. And then FilmSpeak here said, this one is like whoosh, right over his head. Right over his head. He said, really? Telling that you're said, hold on. Oh, no, sorry. Okay. There should have been maybe a comma somewhere. Really telling that you're equating a fucking film opinion to fascism with the emoji. He's not sure about this. I was kind of taken aback by that one. Okay. The Alex ... what was something else. That one was kind of short and sweet from Alex at High Top, Shout out to you, Alex. Yours was just kind of like a stoner, what? Like, you're not really, like, you're kind of disinterested. Like, you thought you would just, acknowledge it, but, like, to a very minimal degree. This guy is, like, he went, like, scorched earth. He's, like, really telling that you're equating a fucking film opinion to fascism. And I couldn't help, but I had to resist. Or, sorry, I couldn't resist, rather. I had to engage. And I said, yes, there's no satire or irony whatsoever. You, along with other tagged gentlemen, are a part of a propaganda machine meant to delude the masses into believing this Batman was a masterpiece and not extremely derivative, formulaic, and dragged out. I see your plan. And then we had another reply here. It's an opinion. Jesus Christ, comparing the Batman film to fascism? You're delusional. Like, that's got to be a 13-year-old right there. It's got to be. Anyway, I had to get that out of the way because little old me with my little old account, captured the attention of Titans just because of such a tiny little shit post that I really thought, was honestly a little bit funny, Like, if I saw that, I'd be like, oh, nice one, dude. A little cringe, but, okay. Anyway, so I wanted to go back to, we'll set it to Alex here at High Top Films. So I wanted to elaborate a little more on my Batman opinion. And Is my audio working, by the way? Yeah, it should be. Okay. I want to make sure anyway. Yeah. So yeah, like I said earlier, sorry, I had like 80% of my analytics were from people that were searching. Basically, it had to be people that were actively searching out Batman was bad, and they felt alone in their thoughts after seeing the Batman. And my channel, along with a few others, relatively small channels, they gave them an outlet because we happen to agree that Batman was not necessarily a great movie. Definitely not no masterpiece. And so they came, a lot of people, and everyone in my comment section kind of had some pretty good takes too, by the way, which was that, like, yeah, it was kind of, in fact, we're going to read some of those comments in a minute, because some of the people that commented had way better things to say than I even did. But first, I want to talk about this worrying trend in pop culture that I'm seeing. And it's not necessarily just in pop culture, but it kind of mostly applies to DC movies. What's that noise? Hold on. It sounded like there's a fucking bird outside my window. Maybe not. Oh, by the way, bro, for people that question my credibility, bro, I got a fucking Robert Pattinson Batman action figure here, dude, that I found at Walmart. So, okay. So if I dropped a you know, a 20 on that, I think that my expectations were pretty good. Some people commented saying, "Yeah, I think you went into this wanting to hate it." No. Why the fuck would I do that, dude? I bought tickets the first night that you're allowed to go, okay? So I was pretty damn excited to see it. And anyway, what I was getting at about DC films is that there's this worrying thing that I'm seeing where, and you know what, Joker did it too, but I think Joker got away with it because it did end up being a decent movie. At the very least, it was pretty haunting in the way it was presented, and definitely made a lot of people feel something, very disturbed. And obviously Joker did that with Taxi and with The King of Comedy. And in my opinion, Batman did that with Seven and The Dark Knight, right? And the way I see it is, I feel like it's a boardroom in a studio over at Warner Brothers. And the way I picture it is that it's a bunch of studio executives now, right? Because Hollywood is fresh out of ideas. We all know that, right? Even people that think that this Batman movie was like great, that it was a masterpiece. At the very least, we can all probably agree that Hollywood is pretty much out of ideas. And what I pictured was a bunch of executives taking comic book characters and trying to revamp them with old films that are kind of out of the pop culture consciousness at this point. And so you take very old classic critically acclaimed movies like The Taxi, right? Or sorry, Taxi Driver, and some studio executive is like, we take the Joker and we modernize it, but we give it a twist of Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro. And all the studio executives clap, right? And they're like, brilliant. And then the same thing with the Batman, where they're all in the little boardroom meeting, and one of the guys is like, I know, we take Batman and we do a younger, inexperienced Batman as a detective, but this time he's taking down a serial killer like that of the movie Seven, and everybody claps. And that's kind of what they see. It's like this word association. It's like in South Park when they have Osimo, right? Like was it the Osimo or whatever, or the robot that Eric Cartman pretended to be? And he's like, Adam Sandler like is in a vacation in the Bahamas, and he falls in love with like a seal. Like, that's what I'm picturing here. And so I just feel like there's a lack of creativity from the offset with a lot of these movies. But that's okay. Movies have to be made. It's a big business. Hollywood is a big business. It's a machine that has to keep turning, right? So at the very least, even if the way these movies come to fruition is very corporate and very suits talking at a fucking meeting, that's where the creative aspect comes into play. That's where you hire a director, right? That's where you hire a capable, creative writing room, and you try to bring something to life that, even if it did come about through corporate means, through means to, to try and make as much money as possible, which I'm not like a fucking communist or something, but you know what I mean? But and the point is that maybe the end product is something artistic, something that audiences can enjoy, like a happy medium, right? Something that is just consumer friendly enough that you can sell a shit ton of toys at Walmart. And by the way, Walmart, if you go to the toy aisle, it's Batman toys everywhere, which is kind of funny, not to get off on another tangent, but it is funny when you go see the Batman and then picture bringing a kid to this Batman movie, right? That doesn't seem like a kid would be interested. I mean, every kid likes Batman, but just when you're sitting there and it's like it turns into like a political thriller at some points, and it's like, oh man, there's corruption, and Bruce Wayne's dad is hired like a hitman. Like my 5-year-old brain, I don't know if I would necessarily be entertained by that. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on that. So hold on. My gripe, by the way, too, with the Paul Dano Riddler, and I mentioned this a little bit in my first review, is that I think for a lot of people that really like this movie, maybe they're not necessarily familiar with Paul Dano and his other, and I don't want to like make a broad generalization here, but I feel like for me, and I said this, like I said in my first review, what ruined it is that Paul Dano seemed like he was being pigeonholed at this point as the mentally ill guy, right? In every movie, from No Country for Old Men to Prisoners. At least back then it was kind of fresh, but now at this point, Paul Dano's on his 10th role where he's playing a mentally unstable basket case. And I think the novelty starts to wear off a little bit, as good as he delivers that performance, by the way, right? It suits him. That's probably why he keeps getting cast in those kinds of roles. But I think that, audiences eventually are going to sour on that. Like, oh, Paul Dano once again playing, it's like when you see fucking Bruce Willis, right? For the fucking 11th time playing the same, tough talking, silent badass, right? Like, that has the witty quips, right? Like eventually you're like, all right, I've seen this movie like 20 times. Right? You're not going to get another buck out of me for the same bullshit. And that's the way I'm feeling with Paul Dano. So, and I mentioned in the last video too that I think that he overplayed that like mental illness / autism a little bit. And when you know that it's him behind that Riddler mask, for me at least, it kind of ruined it a little bit. And when I started to think about that a little more, I started to think about a different kind of Riddler and what would actually be kind of fresh and different, right? Would be a dark and gritty Batman just the way it was. So you take all the same elements, the same actors, pretty much Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, right? Jeffrey Wright, all of them. And it's the same Batman movie, but instead of a Paul Dano Riddler, I thought, and this could be, by the way, this could just be super dumb. That's totally fine. But it would be different. And it would be, instead of a Paul Dano Riddler, right? That's obviously very grounded and very, realistic. What if you did take the same exact Batman film, but you injected a very campy, very colorful Riddler like that of Jim Carrey, right? And the twist is that Riddler is truly delusional and mentally ill and believes that he's almost like a comic book villain, but he's just smart enough and dangerous enough to actually get away with it, so that he's actually a threat. And then eventually, at some point, and you know what I was thinking about when I thought about that? Remember these old, I have something pulled up here. Remember, oh yeah, that's it. Sorry. Remember these old fan-made fucking posters for the Nolan trilogy? So it was this Riddler, Neil Patrick Harris or whatever. I think people were always either referring to Neil Patrick Harris or Johnny Depp. But you take a Riddler like that. See, Paul Dano, I think, yeah, it's dark, it's gritty, it's realistic, the new Batman movie. Okay. And that's been the trend ever since, Nolan did it in 2005. It's like, it reminds me of that meme. I don't know if people have seen this, where the meme is basically, it's 1989 and I'm watching a darker and grittier Batman movie. And then it's like, it's 2004 and I'm watching a darker and grittier Batman movie. And then it's like, it's 2022 and I'm yet again watching a darker and grittier Batman movie. It's like, we fucking get it. It's dark, it's gritty, it's super realistic. I thought I was laughing a little bit when I saw that meme. I was like, that's pretty much it. It's and at this point, even the people that like the Batman can acknowledge that, like the way it's dark. And you know what? You'll see criticisms, by the way, when people like me will say that it's like, like super dark and super gritty. We get it. It's up its own ass. The criticism will be like, oh, are you a Marvel fanboy? Do you need to see your guns going pew pew every 2 minutes and fight scenes in bright colors? No. Marvel is extremely formulaic as well, right? And there are definitely awful fucking Marvel movies. So, I hate the criticism coming from some DC fans that if you disagree with a DC movie, or you think that maybe it took a strange direction, automatically it must be because you're a simp for Marvel. No, get the fuck out of here. But anyway, so I was thinking more. I was like, the Paul Dano shit was predictable. By the way, you saw in press briefings and stuff, right? And like press releases and articles months before this new Batman movie came out that it was being compared to Seven, right? They couldn't fucking wait to tell everybody. It's like when Suicide Squad was coming out with Jared Leto Joker. They couldn't wait to say like, oh, Jared Leto's putting like rats up his fucking ass. This is dark, guys. This new Joker, he's sending around condoms to all the fucking his other co-stars, and he's sneaking up behind them and going boo, and it's really preparing him for the role. I feel like that's what they do nowadays to really hype people up, and that started long ago, with method acting and shit. But it's been overdone to the point where it's kind of a fucking meme now. And so when they were getting ready, to release the Batman, you can see in a bunch of articles and stuff, headlines that were saying, new Batman movie is dark and gritty, has elements of Seven, right? And, people see that and they're like, whoa, Seven was pretty fucked up at the time. That was a pretty, groundbreaking movie at the time. It was very dark. It was very like unpredictable. And, but the thing is that Seven already did it. So now you're telling me that in a fucking boardroom, they're going, a bunch of these WB executives, right? These fucking suits are all smoking cigars, probably not smoking cigars. That's like probably in like 1980, but they're vaping. That's what it is. They're all vaping, right? These fucking suits. And they're all like, hey, so we got the new idea, right? We take Batman and we put him into Seven. Genius. We're going to fucking print money. And I don't mind that they do that, but I would wish that more people acknowledge that that's probably what they do. Because you see such high praise for this new Batman movie, the video essays calling it a masterpiece. And yet it's so funny that it's extremely derivative. And yet, you know what? That brings me to my little comments section review that I wanted to do. Hold on one second. I wanted to fucking go to the comments of that Batman movie. Or sorry, not the Batman movie, but the video that I did. Boom, nailed it. Okay. Oh, man, I fucked it up. There we go. Comments. Yeah. So there's some great takes that I've seen, and not the ones that are like, oh, this was such a great review and stuff. Yeah, it's nice to see some validation for your, hot take, especially at the time that I did it. I was like, I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for this, but it's nice to see that a lot of people do agree. But some of these, comments are fucking like spot on. Like, I hate when that fucking happens because now they're all out of order because I had some ready. But just give me a second and I'll find some of the good ones that I saw. There was a long one that was kind of a little bit TLDR, but it was a good comment. Oh, this one. Okay. This one's pretty good. This is honestly the worst Batman. Now, okay. It's not my opinion. I disagree with some of the shit said here, but I agree with the sentiment in that it's extremely derivative. All right. This is from Spencer Williams. Sorry if you didn't want the spotlight, Spencer, but then don't comment on my shit if you don't want it. This is honestly the worst Batman movie. People compare this to Zodiac or Seven, right? So true. This is way less interesting compared to those movies. It's not even that much darker than people claimed, just brooding and bland. It's like Batman Begins, even more of a snooze. The Wayne backstory was lame. The film as a whole was boring. The detective story wasn't good. The Riddler puzzles were dumb. It was way too long, and the Gotham in this is not interesting compared to other movies. That part I agree with. I disagree with. I actually liked the Gotham thing. Can't chat much, but I'm going to listen from the beginning. Oh, hi, Sama. It's good to see you. I always appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. You are so nice. And then, sorry, where was I? Oh. So I do disagree with that. I do think actually, if anything, the Gotham was decent here in this film. I think that the way it was portrayed was, just fucking slimy, grimy city, a corrupt shithole, right? And I think they did a good job at that with, some neon. It wasn't overdone with the fucking neon lights and billboards, kind of like in the Joel Schumacher take, but it was like a happy medium. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, Commissioner Gordon was boring. Yeah, I agree for that. Fucking Jeffrey Wright had all of 2 lines the entire fucking movie. Jesus. Damn. You got anything else, Commissioner? Or not, he's not a commissioner yet, I don't think. You got anything else, Gordon? Detective Gordon? Fucking A. Like that's just like he's just fucking a reaction. It's like a shitty video game story. The soundtrack is overrated. The generic miserable Nirvana song and score doing variations of that. The praise for the soundtrack was exaggerated. The Riddler was trash. Why go with a creepy 4chan nerd stereotype? They could have done better. See, I do agree with that. I think that it was kind of predictable, the Riddler and the direction that they took. And I kind of, the thing is that when I was watching this movie, and people say, and I got a comment saying, why do you have to compare it to the Nolan trilogy? Well, because one, the Nolan trilogy really did set the bar in terms of fucking Batman movies. And you may not like it, but they got fucking critical acclaim. They got praise from fans. That's rare to get, like both. And so it did set the bar. And so that's the thing with this movie. See, I did notice this, by the way, is that at the time of the Nolan trilogy, I'll finish reading this comment in a minute because I think it's a good one. It has some good takes. But at the time of the Nolan trilogy, it was like it did receive its fair share of criticism at the time, but the criticisms were like, maybe it's a little too dark, right? That it's like, it's almost too realistic and too up its own ass. Not that it wasn't dark enough. And then you take this new Batman movie and it's like even darker than the Nolan trilogy. And it's making me wonder what's the point? It's like darker doesn't always necessarily mean better. And I remember people at the time, especially the comic book fans that were watching the Nolan trilogy, would say stuff like, imagine this Batman, the Nolan Batman, but how cool would it be if they brought some of the supernatural elements in, right? Like fucking like a Killer Croc, or like a Man Bat, or like even like a Mr. Freeze, right? And that's something that you would see often. And so I think they tried to do that with the Ben Affleck Batman a little bit, except he never got his time to fully shine. So fans were deprived of that, because I feel like that Batman was where you could have done that stuff, right? You could have brought the supernatural elements in. And because Warner Brothers is a fucking mess, they were like, no, too much risk. We are risk averse. Let's bring it back, scratch fucking Ben Affleck. Let's bring in a new Batman again. And we'll just start from scratch again. And this time let's get Robert Pattinson, and we'll just do kind of what Nolan did, but we'll try to make it even darker, and we'll bring a serial killer in, but really dark, right? And this serial killer is really fucked up. And that's what I'm saying, is that's where it seems to me like it's very formulaic and derivative. People will say, I did see a comment that was saying, how is it derivative, right? How is it not? Like, you have a lot of the same story beats in that the Joker in The Dark Knight wants to get caught, right? And he does get caught. The Riddler gets caught, right, on purpose, or whatever. He's sitting there like waiting for the police to bring him in. The Batmobile chase seemed pretty derivative to me, and I brought this up in my first review, that in The Dark Knight, there was that moment where the Joker believes that he has the upper hand on Batman for a moment, and then in this same fucking move, in the Penguin, in the Batman, same shit. He's like, I got him. And then the Batman comes roaring out in his fucking Batmobile. So I did notice a lot of the same story beats, and that kind of, and that's my thing. Oh, the prison scene, the interrogation scene. So Batman is face to face with the villain of the movie. They did that in The Dark Knight. And I guess, the point is, it is Batman, and as a character, you have so much rich lore and like in comic books that you can go back to and take stories from. It's just strange when Hollywood just keeps trying to do the same shit over and over again. And so that's the impression that I got when I was watching it. I was like, I feel like I've seen this movie before. It's just that, it's darker. I do think this movie looks better in terms of the color palettes and the cinematography, the way that it's shot, than the Nolan movies, right? Like the way that, it's so highly stylized and everything. And like every scene looks like it's been crafted with such care. And that I give credit, absolutely. But in terms of the story and the story beats, right? Like for me, that just, like I said, that seems formulaic, derivative, and I feel like we've already seen it. And when you are comparing it to movies like Seven, it's like, that's not necessarily a good thing. Like I understand there's paying homage and emulating, but then there is also just kind of like ripping off and trying to just, it's like you take a great movie, right? Like you take a fucking awesome proven movie that has been proven in culture and people loved it at the time, and then 20 years later you make the same movie but now with comic book heroes. some people won't understand. The younger audience, right? The people, the Zoomers, they probably won't necessarily pick up on that because it's not in their it's not in their consciousness, right? Like they haven't seen maybe movies like Seven, or maybe they haven't seen movies like Taxi Driver or The King of Comedy. But other people will. And that's probably another reason for the split that I'm seeing, the divide, is that people that are probably like 20 and up will probably not necessarily like this movie as much as like maybe the 20 and younger crowd for this Batman movie. Because if you're seeing basically elements of Seven and Zodiac and The Dark Knight all packaged into one fucking movie for the first time, your brain is going to be like, this is fucking awesome, dude. So that probably explains some of the overzealous comments that are like, this was so fucking good. I jerked off and I came everywhere in the theater. Like, that's probably those people that they haven't seen. And that's the thing. They haven't seen anything, so they have nothing to compare it to. But obviously, when somebody has seen, Seven and Zodiac and The Dark Knight, and they start to see a pattern like, yeah, I've seen this. This is cool, but I've seen this already. It's not going to be as impressive. That's kind of the point that I'm trying to make here. So I'm not even saying that it was a bad movie. I'm just saying, is that what we're doing now? Is it okay now that I guess that we're going back and we're taking a bunch of these movies and then just reshooting them, but with different characters and different actors? And then, I guess it is, by the way. I'm kind of answering my own question. For God's sakes, we're on the 4th fucking Ghostbusters movie. And, at the same time, maybe I'm a little bit cynical, I have to admit, but I have more hopes still. I'm hoping that things will be a little more, I don't know, maybe creative and not so fucking, just bankrupt in terms of like, because I swear to God, the ideas, they're just running out. And it's so obvious at this point that maybe if you are younger and a little more idealistic and optimistic, you maybe don't see it yet. But, whatever. Maybe I'm just fucking old and bitter. Anyway, I have a few more points I wanted to make because I don't want this to go on too long. Oh yeah, the comments. So this comment get back to it. Barely any gadgets. The Batman car is trash. The one use of the Batarang, right, was dumb, which kind of was. He just used it once to like cut something. Like, you could have used the Batarang a few times. You could have used it to throw at some fucking criminals, right? The combat was dark and looked trash. Fighting was lame. So I think the combat, it was yes and no. I think the combat, obviously, the first scene when they introduced Batman, like, that was fucking great. That's what I said in my review, too, initially, was the beginning was so strong, bro. You have the long Halloween elements, people in masks. It's a very creepy, very, like, this Gotham is just so full of mystery, right? And you're watching it, and I was captivated. I really was at the beginning. I was like, damn. And like I said, the Batman voiceover was a little bit different, but it got me too. It pulled me in. And he's all like, I'm not in the shadows, I am the shadows. And then it cuts to that scene where the thugs are on the train station, and then you're looking at a shadow. You hear the really, really slow, dark footsteps, and then it's like he emerges as if he is a fucking shadow, right? The way they shot it, that was great. And then he beats the shit out of that thug. I loved it. But for me, that's kind of where the action peaked, honestly. I don't know. Because I'll tell you what, I definitely don't think that ending scene where he's fighting all the little Riddler Juniors, I don't think that was great. I think that it was a little bit, like, not necessarily bad, but when you're expecting, again, people are going to get so fucking mad. You know what's great? In Daredevil, those fight scenes, a lot of them are really raw. The actor looks exhausted. Charlie Cox, when he's fighting, he's like, you can feel it almost, right? Like, and so people are gonna, this is where I lose all my fucking credibility, right? They're gonna be like, fucking Marvel fanboy, go suck Marvel's dick. Yeah, well, this was like a Netflix R-rated Marvel, so it's at the very least, we're not talking about the fucking Eternals level of filmmaking here. But anyway, that's the kind of shit that I like to see. And I mentioned this, by the way, in my first review too, where I was really let down in the police station scene because my whole brain was going, this is about to be sick. I'm sensing something really cool is about to happen. I feel like Batman's about to fuck every one of these cops up, and he's going to become like an enemy of Gotham, like public enemy number one, right? That would have been kind of brave. That would have been a different direction to take it in. It's just a huge manhunt for Batman. Well, I guess we saw that in the Nolan movies too, but it still could have been cool. Like, he had to fight his way out of the police station, Daredevil style, right? And if they really wanted to impress the audiences, right, the nitpickers, they would have made it they would have tried to do it in like one take or something. If they didn't do it, So for me, I was kind of let down at that part. Whatever. Let's go on. Turturro. Oh, wait. Yeah. Turturro did the best he could with a weak character. Pattinson would. Yeah, I thought Turturro was pretty haunting. He's got that vibe because he's done some good comedic roles, right? So for me, when he shows up in a serious role like this, it really it confuses your brain because you're like, what are we gonna get here? John Turturro, he's usually a funny guy, but now he's playing this kind of sadistic fucking gangster, right? That's cocky and he runs shit. So he did it good. I was definitely a little bit nervous when I was watching him. Pattinson was trash. I don't agree with that. He was goofy Twilight Batman. I don't agree with. I do think Pattinson did do a good job. He didn't have much lines, but that's Batman. So you really can't criticize that element. And I think especially for Batman not having a lot of lines, he did deliver a lot with his facial expressions and his stern fucking eyes and his jaw and very, like I said again in my first review, very his eyes spoke. And when he was confused and he was lost, you really felt it. When he was kind of scared, his eyes would widen a little bit and you would kind of see it. So I did like that. One thing, and you will notice this, by the way, in my first review, is I didn't necessarily attack plot points or nitpick, things that I guess could be easily nitpicked, because I'm not necessarily one to do that. My issue was just how derivative it was and how, to me, it felt like I've seen this movie before. But I will say one thing. When the explosion goes off in his fucking face, people have brought this up, by the way, since then. I've seen a bunch of people talk about this. Really, no scars, not even a fucking scratch in your entire exposed eyes and fucking, chin. I don't know. That, to me, was a little bit weird. And why didn't he at least duck? Why didn't he put his cape up or anything, right? Like something. Like the timer is right in front of you, Batman. It's about to hit 0. Turn it around. I don't know. Take it in, I was going to say take it in your ass, but you know what I mean? To turn around and let your ass take it. That still sounds weird. Let's just forget the whole ass thing. Let's just disregard. It was also really watered down. It also was like a really watered down Watchmen, which is a far better version of this kind of detective noir. I see what he's saying there. And yes, kind of, I do agree with the way Watchmen, with Rorschach and Watchmen, dude, like, come on, that was top tier. Like, the way he's fucking narrating and shit. The city will look up and whisper, "Save us." And I'll look back and whisper, "No." God, gives me fucking chills just thinking about it, dude. And then what else does he say here? Oh, he goes off about and sorry to give so much spotlight to this comment, but Spencer, it just shows that you're very inquisitive and articulate, so it's not a bad thing. It's it's a compliment. He goes off and he attacks Andy Serkis a little bit, which I disagree with some of his takes here. He says that, since when does Andy Serkis do real acting? I think he's actually a really good actor. And, I know that he's known for CGI characters, but obviously he's trying to get past that stuff. And he's doing a great fucking job at it. How good was he as Claw, right? In the Black Panther? For me, he as soon as he enters a scene, it kind of lights up and it gets my attention, So I disagree with that. I do think Andy Serkis was good. But you get the idea there. This guy said, "This is ridiculously bad, unfair, and a flat-out wrong review. LOL, did we watch the same movie?" To which I responded, "I don't know. Did your movie have a bear as the main character? Also, did the bear wear a red bucket hat? Also, did it wear a blue raincoat? Also, I think I accidentally watched Paddington instead of Batman." Fucking nailed it. Got him. And then he went off on this fucking long TLDR. Didn't read it, bro. Too long. No, I did read it. He had some good points. He had some good criticisms to say against me. Yeah, we have fun here. We have a good time. Yeah, like I said, lots of good comments, dude, on that video. Oh, one thing I also wanted to bring up too, in terms of the comparison, which people are probably starting to get sick of, but the comparison between this movie and the Nolan movies, quotability. The quoting factor. I came out of this movie, and from what I've seen online, right? And usually after a big fucking release like this, you start to see it everywhere. You start to see the memes come out. You start to see the fucking quotes. Everybody's fucking talking about it. There's a huge buzz. From this movie, all I've really seen is "I am the shadows" and "I am vengeance," which are like two super generic Batman lines, by the way. Those could have been quoted before this movie came out because they were probably in fucking comic books and the animated series. In the Nolan films, Those quotes, dude, have lived forever. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, Rob, that's not fair. The Nolan films have been out for fucking, at this point, decades, basically, right? I think the first one was 2005, so almost 2 decades. And you might be thinking they've had time to resonate in pop culture and this in the public consciousness. So of course those are going to be more quotable. And also there's 3 of them. And you're comparing 3 Batman movies to this one fucking single Batman movie that's been like out for a week. Okay. So if you take that, let's get rid of The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, and let's just go with Batman Begins, which is considered, I think, the weakest out of the Nolan trilogy. That's usually the consensus that you see anyway. There's still some. Oh shit, sorry. The fucking music that I have made a weird ass noise. I got scared. Anyway, there's some memorable fucking quotes in the Batman Begins that will live. Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, however you want to pronounce it. In the movie, they pronounced it Ra's al Ghul. He had some fucking good ones, right? Like time to spread the word, and the word is panic. Just so many great lines. I think Scarecrow, there's nothing to fear but fear itself, right? Like so many fucking great ones. Alfred, why do we fall, sir? So we can learn to pick ourselves up. Like so much quotability in the fucking Nolan dialogue that it just, you can say it for days. And not just Batman Begins, right? Because the way the characters are written is really just to be fucking, they're like quote factories. And then when you get into The Dark Knight, yeah, there's some great Joker quotes for days. And then Bane, I feel like The Dark Knight Rises was actually the most quotable, probably because Bane's voice was the funnest to emulate, you know what I mean? Like there's so fucking many, like you think oh my god, I my mind just went to 10 different quotes at the same time that I couldn't even say one the right way. But like the fucking what is it, dude? Shadows and theatricality, powerful agents for the uninitiated, but we are initiated, aren't we, Bruce? Like, just so fucking good, dude. And it's so like, there's just the right amount of camp in Bane's voice that I thought was so fucking good. And the reason I bring it up again, this isn't, to fucking suck Nolan's dick, but it's because when I left the theater for this movie, I wasn't lingering on any particular quotes or scenes that I remembered. Like, when I left the theater, it was more of a relief. It was like, oh, that's over, and that sounds bad, but it's because it did really fucking drag. One thing that I have seen that people do agree on, even the people that loved this fucking movie, was that it did drag, and so what can you say? It just went on a little bit too long. The Nolan movies did too, by the way. Doug Walker did his fucking nostalgia critic on The Dark Knight I saw the other day, and he actually made a really good point, which was that after the scene in The Dark Knight where the 2 buildings blow up, right? Or sorry, not 2, but one of the buildings blows up and Rachel dies, you could have probably ended it there and it would have been super impactful. After that, it goes from a great movie to kind of just a good movie, where I still think it's kind of a great movie, just because of Heath Ledger's performance on. But, in terms of where maybe it started to drag a little bit, and then you have the whole dilemma on the boat, and, they have to blow each other up. Who's going to blow each other up first? It's a moral dilemma. Do you trust your fellow man, or are they, are you evil and just trying to survive? When the chips are down, will these people, in fact, eat each other, right? And that was the kind of point of that. But again, not to veer too off topic here. I just want to look at a few more of these comments because, like I said, I had some fucking based takes here that I have seen, and I appreciate them. Some people say the praises aren't genuine. I don't know if I agree with that. You always do see the more conspiratorial fucking vibes coming out for like these kinds of movies. Like the studio was paying for good reviews. Would I put it past the studio? No. But it doesn't necessarily seem likely at the same time because, so many people are so eager to just fucking praise any kind of fucking media that comes out just to consume consumers, just consume fucking, red letter media, right? Consume product, get excited for next product. Consume product, get excited for next product. Let's see. There's some comments I wanted to point out. This girl here said, Jesse Banana, shout out to Jesse Banana here. It was bad. You couldn't even pay me to see it again. I wanted to walk out early so bad. The watch time made me go from, yeah, I don't love it, but there are good points, to, oh my God, I hate this. Get me out of here. Jesse, dude, I feel that a little bit. Like I was into it totally up until probably the fight scene with all the Jokers, or not the Jokers, the fucking Riddler. See, to me, they're like interchangeable, kind of the way this movie presented the Riddler. Anyway, with all the little fucking incel Riddlers in that fight scene, at that point, I was like, all right, let's wrap it up here. It's starting to drag a little bit. Okay, she said it wasn't even a Catwoman movie because her storyline was trash. The women in this movie, a few that were in here, weren't given much to work with. They're all victims, basically. I found the romantic beats between her and Batman to be really gross and off-putting. I understand what she's saying there. I wouldn't necessarily phrase it that way, but what I would say is that I don't feel like they had chemistry. Like, for me, it felt like Zoe Kravitz hated fucking Bruce Wayne, and it makes it a little more awkward when she says that line about like rich, white, powerful elites or whatever, and then fucking Bruce Wayne is like a rich, white, powerful elite. So I don't know, like, fucking, that was a little bit awkward. It's a little bit strange. They probably mandated from the studio to throw that line in there, but it was a little off-putting for me. Calling women whores and degrading sex workers when your mother was one and was thought to be killed by a client is super sexy, don't you know? Another good, so that's Jesse Banana's take. Another good take that somebody had was that fucking car chase between Batman and the Penguin. And again, in the Nolan movies, you can say the same. I know there was deaths in this scene. Same thing. There was definitely some people that died in that car accident, that fucking explosion on the highway. And Batman just kind of leaves Penguin chilling, He even sees him again a few times later in the movie, and he's just like, how do you do? Lovely night, Penguin. Penguin didn't get arrested for that or anything. I almost want to find the comment that brought that up, because that is a good point. Like, that was like carnage on the highway, right? Like there was like an explosion and fucking definitely some deaths for sure. At the very least one. It's okay. Penguin he can go off scot-free. I don't know. Maybe it's because Batman was like, shit, I'm kind of responsible. So that we're going to call that, yeah, we're going to call it even. Because I may have also been the cause of these deaths, Penguin, I'm going to wipe the slate clean and we're just going to go our separate ways. That's probably what Batman was thinking there. Yeah, man. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, I'm not going to drag this on too much longer, but I feel like a lot of people but the people that are praising it as really a masterpiece are the same people that think A24 is not a distribution company, but just a production company. By the way, it's both, but it's kind of more a distribution company. And so, you see people, the meme is like A24 bros, right? Like, bro, I love that movie. It's definitely got A24 vibes. When it's like, oh, really? It has distribution company vibes. The point being that just because something seems to be dark and deep and appears to be profound and thought-provoking doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it is. It can be trying to present itself in a very charlatan manner where it's kind of looking like it's trying to make some kind of deep statement, which, by the way, what was the statement in the Batman, right? It's that ultimately, what Batman fighting crime isn't the answer. Because that's kind of what I got. Like, he's got to do better. He's got to do what the girl that was running for mayor told him, which is just fucking give all your money away. Like, that's not Batman, right? And even this is something that conservatives and liberals have probably always been able to agree upon, at least in the comic book realm, which is that, okay, the real world is the real world. But in Batman, fighting crime, beating criminals' asses, it works in Gotham City, right? Maybe it's not going to work in Chicago. Maybe it's not going to fucking work in Baltimore, but it's going to fucking work in Gotham. And that's the way it is because it's a fucking comic book and it's not fucking real. And I just hate that people are like, I don't want to go off on a fucking tangent. I got to fucking wrap it up. My point is that it's like, I don't understand why this movie has to make it seem like fighting crime and beating the shit out of criminals is like a bad thing. And that's the vibe that I got at the very end, was like Batman is like kind of reconsidering things. He's like the beacon of hope and he's got that, flair and he's lighting the way. And I don't know if that's, so what does that mean for the next movie? Like, what are they setting up here for the sequel? The sequel is going to be Batman fucking philanthropist. Batman joins the Peace Corps. Batman goes over to Africa and starts fucking, trying to, convince warlords not to fucking commit genocide. Like, what's the answer then? Because I guess not everything has to be super profound and have this huge societal statement, right? Sometimes it could just be a comic book movie that, is maybe has something to say, but what are they going to do now? What direction do they take Batman in? Because the message at the end is kind of that Batman fighting crime isn't doing it. Okay. So what? So that means big fucking giant movie studio no make money? No more movie for Warner? Okay. So do it. So don't make any more movies. So cut Batman out. If the message is violence is bad and no more, fighting crime and beating fucking criminals to a pulp as a vigilante isn't the answer, then why are you fucking making a movie about it in the first place? What do you have to gain? Oh, well, that's right, money. That's the thing. You want both. You want to have it all. You want to be able to be the fucking virtue signaling studio that says, yeah, maybe fighting crime isn't the answer. Maybe beating the shit out of a guy stealing a fucking, car radio isn't the answer. But also people love Batman and they do love to watch him beat the shit out of people. So maybe we can have Batman beat the shit out of people and also have some kind of message, some kind of subtext that says maybe that's also not the answer and not very good. I guess. I don't know. Yeah. That's kind of dumb, right? Anyway, that's it. If you didn't catch the beginning, I went over a tweet that I sent out about all these video essays that are coming out about how it's a masterpiece, and I disagree. And some people on Twitter got a little bit upset, and High Top Films got a little bit upset. So, anyway, maybe that's a sign that the channel is growing, right? Nipping at the heels of these fucking titans, right? That's it. Anyway, I've been rambling, guys. Have a good night, and I'll be back with another video or a live stream soon. Yeah, peace out. Happy Friday.